Welcome to Beyond the Bottom Line Mailbag, the business podcast where your questions shape the conversation, where we dive into Mailbag to answer your biggest questions from the past episodes. Whether you're building a business, leading a team, or just trying to work smarter, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Hey there again, and welcome to another short and impactful episode of Beyond the Bottom Line, where you've entered the mailbag. This is the safe space for questions for those of us that grew up with cassette tapes, replaced our music collections now 3 different times. I had to dial up when the internet first started, and jobs that ghosted us before ghosting was a term. So, Adrianne, we have some really great questions. So again, for those of you who've never met her or seen her before, you're going to see a whole lot of her. Meet Adrianne Ruthar. Adrianne, again, is my marketing wing. She is my producer. She's my editor. She is my marketing everything. So Adrianne, welcome back.
Thank
to
you.
Another mailbag. So
Thank you. Yeah, these have been really fun. We've gotten a lot of really good questions from listeners who wanted to dive a bit deeper into an episode topic, or they had a question based on something that you said. So again, we got a number of really good questions. And so I'm excited to dive in. So you ready for it?
All right, let's go. Let's see what we got.
Let's do it. Okay. So first question. So Ron, you talked about in the first episode applying to over 1,100 jobs. I said that correctly.
Yes.
1,100 jobs.
Correct.
I had to first check that and make sure that you didn't add 2 zeros, but you didn't. So you'd applied for over 1,100 jobs and hearing back from less than 1% of those. At what point did you know it was time to stop chasing roles and build something for yourself?
You know, it's always been in the back of my head to try and do this. And I've tried to do this before. I was very close a few years ago to starting my own staffing agency. I had a name, I had finance set up, I had infrastructure ready, I had property ready to sign. And for me at that point, it just didn't line up because I'm thinking ahead of year 2 of paper. I wasn't doing it to not succeed. So I'm thinking ahead, and I just didn't have the financing you need as a startup staffing agency. Carry your receivables a year out until you get paid. And without that funding, you're putting everybody, including yourself, in jeopardy. So just, it didn't work out. So it's always been in the back of my head, but, unceremoniously, getting downsized, for the second time in my 30-year career, and it's become very common. We see the risks all the time. And I felt the need to stay in corporate, to continue to be relevant. I have 20 years to go yet. And unfortunately, with Social Security probably not being there, we probably have about 40 years to go yet. But I only focused on roles in recruiting and talent acquisition and a field leadership that I qualified for. And I would say probably about a month and a half into it, where I wasn't getting but maybe one response out of everything I was putting out there. Mm-hmm. It occurred to me there's a lot more help that was needed. And I was actually talking to a franchise owner that I know and respect and trust and I'm a good friend. And he had said to me, he's like, there's a need for what you do. Mm-hmm. You just got to figure out how to get it out there. And for me, that was the light bulb of, you know what? There's things broken in the hiring process. There's so much experience in there. I believe that there is a market, and I didn't just do it willy-nilly. I talked to several different franchise owners that I trusted and would speak with me that verified that, yes, there was a need. Yes, there would be an interest. And that is how I launched. I knew this was my moment. It was now or probably never. And it's either going to work or it doesn't, but I'm not losing anything by going into it and giving it a shot. Yep. And so far it's pretty much worked out.
Yeah. I'd say so.
Keeps working. So
that's how it keeps working. That's how we
Yeah.
So what advice do you have then? So there are a number of people, to your point, I'm a product of that as well, being unceremoniously thanks, but your role is now redundant and we no longer need you. And I'm in my 40s. And so what do you do? So what advice do you have for people who are in their 40s or even in their 50s and still have 10, 15, 20 years left to work. They might have limited resources. And now they're thinking like, okay, I want to give this a go too. Timing is everything. They want to give it a go. So what's your advice on what they should focus on first? Is it the structure? Is it the product, having a team or community? Like what's your advice on where to start if someone is in your shoes?
Right. So I'm going to, from my experience, this is what I'm going to say. And number one, yes, we see this out there online all the time. Everyone has an expiration date in corporate, no matter what level you're at, what role you're in, you do have an expiration date where you will no longer be viewed as a viable advancer. And it has nothing to do with your skills. It has where you're at in your career.
You're going to tap out.
You're going to top out and then you become expendable. Understanding that first is where you need to be because you don't know what that date is.
Yeah.
Then you have to mentally prepare yourself for what that means. And that's where you got to begin. You got to understand what it takes to make the leap. This is not something that you can just pick up tonight, quit your job tomorrow, and think you're going to be a success, right?
No.
There is no 5-step plan or process. There is no magic marketing bullet that you see advertised out there. There is no guaranteed list. There is nothing to 6 months to financial freedom and 10 million in billing. It doesn't exist. It's bullshit.
Agreed.
You know how they're doing it? Because they get people to believe it that spend money on it and get nothing out of it.
Right.
Okay, so you have to mentally prepare yourself for what that means. You have to understand the stress, the pressure that comes with it, and what your role then can become in the household, right? Are you going to put a financial burden on yourself and your partner by doing it, or your spouse, right? Are you the main breadwinner? What does that mean? Or are you the supplemental income? And what does that mean? What can you do with and what can you do without? And you have to prepare there to make that leap to really understand it. Second thing is there is not a lot of financing options out there that you can get money in your first 2 years of business. You just can't. You can have the best business plan in the world, but if you don't have a product, there's very little viability for you until you have the books. So you are only going to be as good as your billings, right? I highly recommend to anyone doing this, go single proprietor LLC, because you give yourself a very good tax shelter that way. You can do owner draws on your business as you go, with the idea that you can always change to an S Corp or a C Corp down the line, right? You can go up. It's harder to go back. But seeing yourself with the Fed and the state does not cost more than, I think it's like maybe $200 now.
Yeah.
And that's where you start when you're mentally prepared. And then the very first thing you need to do is you need to understand your value prop. And I cannot emphasize this piece enough. Know who you are, what you want to do, and how you want to do it, and get yourself with a reputable marketer from first day. You will thank yourself down the road because you are not a marketer. You are not a marketing genius. You are not going to be an overnight influencer. Get with someone like an Adrianne or a marketer that you know that can help you uncover who you are. Because Adrianne, you could talk about it. Like, it's been a process.
It's been a process. I think I would say it took almost a year or more, at least 10 months or so to really focus on, and I think this goes for all entrepreneurs. It's like when you're starting off, especially in a fractional role like we are, you don't want to say no to business. So you try to be all things to all people and you say, yes, I can do it for this industry. Yes, I can do it for that. And you try to do too much. And I completely agree. You have to figure out what it is that you're going to offer and get really clear about it. And it's hard, right? It's hard not to say. I have had clients who I worked with that I didn't totally understand their product or service. And, but I was just starting out and I wanted the business and I took it on and it was fine, but I didn't give what I could to them as I could have to other people in other industries because I just didn't quite know it. And that was on me. And I think it's a challenge to say you did a really great roundtable episode actually recently about not all money is good money.
Yeah.
And I think that's something just to go along with what you were saying in terms of understanding your true value prop and what you're going to offer people and sticking to it and getting clear on that message.
Yeah.
Because you start trying to scoop up all this business and it's not necessarily good money.
Yep.
So I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. That's the biggest lesson learned in this for me, because Adrian and I didn't hook up in my first couple of months doing it. You and I got hooked up when I was a little bit down the road. So you were coming in, I was trying to go full bore, and I hadn't built a lot of great stuff. I've redone my website 4 different times myself. We've changed our marketing strategy several different times. And it's not that we had a marketing strategy that wasn't working. I just wasn't saying who I was and what I was doing the right way, because like a good friend of mine, Don Oler, told me, Don, I'm giving you a shout out here if you're listening, man. He told me at one point, I don't understand what you do. When I asked him to clarify that, he said, you're taking everyone out to the Golden Corral the first time on a date. And I'm like, I don't get that. He's like, think about it, man. Like, you go to the Golden Corral because you don't know what you're hungry for, and you have like 80 different things to choose from. You can't do that as an entrepreneur. And I was like, oh, good point. And it took me a while to get there, because I, like everybody else, I can't turn money down. I can't walk away from it. And it probably hurt me more in my startup phase than helped me, because I didn't have a clear message. And I would urge everyone, before you go into this, make sure that you know what you're going to do. Make sure you know who you're going to target. Make sure you're mentally prepared for that, right? Know what kind of nest egg you need in order to get through and survive, and then have the conversation at home if it affects others. And then get with a marketer to build that plan before you go live as an LLC.
You're right, because there is so much, we use the analogy, you're building the plane as you fly. And I feel like there's naturally so much of that anyway.
Yeah.
That those are really great points to set yourself up for success, because there's just going to be a natural evolution to your business, especially, and I can only speak from the marketing perspective, it changes so much on its own that you have to be nimble and flexible with where you're marketing and how you're marketing and things like that. So there's going to be naturally so many pivots that if you don't have a good base there set up, you're not only going to be building it as you fly, but you're just not setting yourself up for success. You're setting yourself up for a crash landing, then you're going to have to start back up again. So those are really great points. So when it comes to the term fractional work, explain to someone who doesn't know what that means, what, from your perspective, is the value of working with someone fractionally or fractional work?
Yeah. So fractional really is new in the vernacular. It's been around for a long time. And I think the view of it is starting to change because of how really is new in the vernacular. It's been around for a long they have project work taken away from their people's core responsibilities. Things suffer because of it. And especially companies that want to scale quickly. The value of that, think about back in the day, like contractors, right? Like I work on contracts, and it was big in the IT because they only needed them to develop coding for this part of the project, and it was specialized. So they would contract with these folks who knew they were going to have, 5 or 6 months of work at X amount of dollars. It's a contained cost for the company. There's not a long-term commitment. So there's no unemployment afterwards. There's no benefits that are needed. You're only paying for the work being done for a specific period. Mm-hmm. And that's really what fractional work is. There's different forms of it. Like startups may need a fractional COO. What does that mean? It means they need someone that can help them get off the ground and help build the infrastructure, and most likely identify the person that is going to run it long term once they get to that point. But they need that leadership, but they don't have $180,000 a year to invest in it long.
Yeah.
That's the value of fractional, because you're getting all of that experience that you're looking for at a fraction of the cost and commitment. Yes, you enter into a contract, but you know what your cost is, you know what your containment is, you know what your payment terms are, and you know when the end date is.
Yeah.
You
A
know, like
fraction of the time at a fraction of the
yes,
cost.
exactly. You know, like I got brought on and I got introduced to one of my great clients right now. And, you know, when I asked them in the beginning of the meetings, getting to know them and understand this project that both of us wanted, you know, that we were a match for, I asked them simply, why wouldn't you hire? And the answer was very clear and concise because they actually understood who they are, what they wanted is once this is set up and done, Ron, if I spend the money to hire somebody full time, I don't know what I'd have them do in year 2 or year 3 because there would be nothing for them to do. And I'm going to wind up turning a great person over
Yeah.
because I
And
wouldn't
it's just
have
not
the
what they
work.
need. It's not what
Yes,
they need.
it's not what they
Yeah.
need. They needed a contractor in order to come in to do this. So their teams weren't.
Well,
That's
and
the
I think
value.
too, yeah, and starting off too, it's like finding a fractional work or a fractional support for the things that you don't know or you're not good at or you just don't have the time for. Look at our relationship. Could you edit your podcast? Sure. Might take a little longer. Could you do all your social? Yep. Could you do those quick website updates? Sure. But your value to your business to Elevate Talent Solutions is being out there and working with the clients. Your value is not sitting behind a computer and editing a podcast or doing creative or building a brochure. It's could you do it? Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think that's really the value, especially as you're starting out, is figuring out the things that you can do. Because there are going to be things you're going to have to do when you start a business that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Right? We talk about these things.
Oh,
We talk
yeah.
about it with Nicole and Lainey. Like
Yeah.
you are all things.
You
You're
are
the
the bill payer. You are the voice. You are
You
the
are all
worker.
of it.
Oh,
And there's so much that you naturally have to do that identifying those things that not only you don't want to do, you're not good at, but it would take up so much of your time that you could
yeah.
actually be working on revenue generating aspects of your
Bingo.
business. Like
Bingo.
why would you be editing a podcast when you could be building a training video
Yes.
or a series of training videos or training recruiters?
Yeah.
That's your value.
Yep.
And so I really think that is for all businesses, whether you're starting out and you're like us and you have additional fractional support, or you're a small business and you have 20 employees, you still might have things that you don't want or need your employees to be focusing on because it takes them away from the things that they're really good at, and they're going to drive you have more long-term benefit.
Exactly. Adrian, I couldn't have it better myself.
So how do you know, though? One of the questions that we got, which I think is an excellent follow-up to this, is, so if you are a business owner, how do you know when you should hire internally, whether it should be a new search, elevating someone from the inside, or plugging an expert and bringing someone like you and like Elevate Talent Solutions in to support you? Like how do you know? How do you know what's best for your business? Do you have any tips for people?
This is what I would look at is one, let's first talk about the growth aspect. Everyone has capacity in their role and it has nothing to do with talent level. It's just, there's only so much people can handle in a role. So as your business expands, you need to first understand from a sales perspective what the goal is, what that would mean, and you need to start pre-planning early. And that also includes looking at your internal resources for possible promotion or training that's needed to lead people. Or do you need to build a bench, start building relationships and going outside ahead of the curve?
Mm-hmm.
And then if the deals come through, what is the longevity of that revenue for your business and what additional roles may you need to support that, right? It's all about numbers and a plan, but you have to have that vision. And in a perfect world, we have that vision all the time. In an imperfect world, which we tend to live in, it's reactionary because sometimes we take our hand off the pulse. Sometimes we get impetuous and what something is going to be worth. And other times we overlook it and don't understand it. But you got to be prepared for those scenarios. So go back to your team. Do you have the right people and are they promotable? Because just high performers don't mean they're going to be great leaders.
True.
Understand who they are. Can they lead? What help do they need to get there? And then that's where, hey, like career coaches, consultants, this is where we can come in and really evaluate that for you.
Yeah.
Let you know what you're working with and then what we can do to help that person get there. Or if you don't have people that are promotable into leadership roles, we can help you identify what your business will need and what kind of person you're looking for in order to go find them before you need them and build bench and build that relationship. So you're hiring them into the role you're creating for them, not trying to fit someone into the role you have.
True. Yeah. And I think too, to your point earlier, when you like in looking at like a startup who might only need someone interim, maybe they've identified a candidate who with some training would be great for that role, but they don't have it just yet. I think they could bring in someone like you to come in and work on that role or do that role fractionally for a set amount of time and mentor and teach that person who just isn't quite there yet. And I think that really speaks to the benefit of fractional. We come and go. And so it's not just even on the front end. It could be that you can help someone identify that, I can come in and support you for now, but look at your team. And you can help them identify someone who is already there, knows the business, who they like and trust, and feel that they could get there, but maybe they just need 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
And some additional training. Why wouldn't you want to keep someone who's already committed to you and your business?
Yeah. Well, and think about the differentiator in the marketplace as being seen as employer choice when you can actually offer true professional and personal development, right?
And not just say it.
Yes, not
Everyone
just say
says it. Everyone says it. Oh,
and most of the execution of that is, we'll promise it. We'll lay out some goals that are never followed up on. Here's a book to read that never translates into a great leader. Right. And then there's no program. But think about if you could actually build a program to do that. And here again is the value of a fractional or a consultant of how do you want to build it? Let's get it built. And then we disengage. When you're ready to put somebody through it, if you don't have the resources or you need it done once or twice so somebody else can be trained on it again, value of a consultant. I had a friend that I used to work with us from Central Florida, and he introduced me the term bird dogging. You drop in, you're dropping in your bird dog and it run. That's what you need it here, up and out, up and out, up and out. Like you're there and you don't exist. You're there and you don't exist. But you can build something out of them. It's one of my big projects that I'm working on right now is building an actual learning university for a construction company that knows who they are, knows how they want to scale, and they want to invest. That if you come in a general labor role and you want to go to estimating, that we have a path for you from a learning perspective to get there.
That's great. That's a company who's doing what they say they're going to do. That's
exactly
great.
Right.
Yeah. All right. One final question. So,
all right.
This one's a tough one. So what do you think is the biggest mistake small businesses make when they're trying to scale? So you're really good about coming in and you have a lot of experience in helping companies scale. So what do you think is the biggest mistake they make?
The biggest mistake that I have seen and I have experienced, you don't have the infrastructure built to do it. You don't, right? We all will get in those situations. Well, I'm not going to say all because some of us are going to fail in the first year or two. That's just the fact of life. But those that make it through, a good majority of you will hit a point where something magical will happen and you have to add a great deal amount of people. And it's an exciting time, but you don't have processes in place. You don't have functions in place or job descriptions in place that support those roles. You don't have training in place to do it. You have what you originally had, which probably isn't a lot and hasn't been updated because it hasn't been a priority. And when you scale your business and you're bringing new people in, if you can't teach them who you are, how to operate, where they can get answers, and what are those baseline core functions that align to the business today and tomorrow, not yesterday, you're setting yourself and them up for failure. It is on your quality, it's going to hit on your delivery, and it's going to hit negatively on your outcome. People need that book, that virtual, what they can go back to, because people are not naturally question askers. They're follow. Okay, well, figure it out. But if you tell me where I can go without having to raise my hand and feeling like I'm putting a target on myself that I don't know, I'll go find the answer. But if they can never find the answer, they can only do what they think is right.
Yeah.
And
People
now you're
want
not.
that
Yeah.
future. They want to scale, but they don't prepare for the scale.
Yep. They don't. They never look at the infrastructure and keep that stuff up to date for today and to
Because
always behind.
it can be the boring stuff, right? It's an investment, right? It's
Yes.
just like you're building a house. You need a boiler. You need all the stuff. As homeowners, we don't want a new roof. We don't want a new AC. We don't want those things that you don't see necessarily the value in at first when
Yep.
you're building. But it's almost like manifesting it. You got to plan for the future. If you know that you are going to want to scale and but you don't have that infrastructure in place, you're going to crash land again.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to prepare for the future as
Yep.
though you're going to scale.
Yep. I actually love that analogy, the heater in your home, right? And think about this, folks. Like
It's the
the
stuff you
heater
don't
in your
see.
home it's set for the size of home you have to heat it adequately. Well, you've come into some money, your family's expanded, you're adding on an addition, and it's 2 more bedrooms, a garage, and another huge living space. It's another 1,200 square feet. Your system isn't going to be able to handle it. You can't put the addition on and then go, why is it cold in here? Why do my pipes freeze? You got to look at the heating system, but your heating system is your HR department that hasn't been added to, and they can't possibly take on more to go back and update those things constantly and build them out.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
don't have the time or the bandwidth.
Yeah.
That's where consultants come in.
That's where consultants come in. Those are really great questions that we got again today. Why don't you tell people now that they know how they can use you and the benefit of using you, how they reach you?
All right. So for anybody that's interested, you can reach out to me on our website at www.elevate-talent-solutions.com, or you can email us at info@elevatetalentsolutions.net. You can see all of our options on our website of things that we offer. And we also have a free business health survey out there that anyone can download and use that really kind of gives you a self-rating and a couple of the facets of your business of maybe where you need to look for some help or things that could be going wrong.
Yeah, I love that. And if you have any other questions on this episode or future Beyond the Bottom Line episodes, make sure that you ask them in the show notes, reach out to us on the website, at the email, or on our social media, and maybe we'll get to one of your questions in a future episode.
Well, Adrianne, before we sign off, how do people get a hold of you and your fantastic marketing abilities?
I love that. Thank you. So you can find me on LinkedIn at Adrianne Ruthart. It's RUT, 2 H's ART. Or you can find me on my website. It's acrventures.com.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in and keep those questions coming. We really appreciate it. We hope we answer them. And folks, whether you're mid-pivot, mid-crisis, or just want to feel like you're not the only one figuring this out in real time on your own, tune into another episode and reach out to us here at Elevate Talent Solutions and Beyond the Bottom Line.
That's a wrap on this week's Mailbag episode. If your question didn't make it on air, don't worry, we've got more coming.